Hello and welcome to Mostly Sapphic Books, where I talk about mostly sapphic books. Could you imagine? Mostly I talk about book reviews, but today I wanted to talk about all of the upcoming releases on my radar for 2025. Don't know if some of these books are going to be good. I'm going to do books I'm really looking forward to, books that are on my radar but I'm unsure about, and some honorable mentions as well. To start, we've got some books from series that I am currently reading. Two books by Rebecca Thorne, Tea You at the Altar and Alchemy and a Cup of Tea. The last two books in the Tea and Tome series. Tea You at the Altar is actually already out. That came out on March 4th. I'm recording this on March 6th, so it actually just came out. I haven't read it yet. It is on hold at my library. I'm looking forward to it. It is the third book in the series. I actually have an arc of the first book, which is cool. It's the first arc I've ever had. This is a fun fantasy series. It's basically a ripoff of Legends and Lattes, I'm not gonna lie. Even the author has talked about how the success of Legends and Lattes definitely inspired them to write a series in the similar vein. So it's a cozy fantasy about the most powerful mage of the realm and a queen's guard who run off together and start a tea shop and then get into various misadventures and build a life and apparently get married, because this book is called Tea at the Altar, so obviously they're going to get married. Speaking of finishing a series, The Sovereign by C.L. Clarke. This is the third book in the Magic of the Lost trilogy, which is a very cool fantasy series about colonialism and a sort of indentured soldier who falls in love with a princess and gets into politics, and there's lots of magic and political battles and differing cultures and learning about your past and your family, and it's very well written. It's very good. I love C.L. Clarke. I'm very excited for this final book in the series, and I definitely recommend the first two books in that series as well, The Unbroken and The Faithless. I don't think we have a cover reveal for The Sovereign yet, actually, so I'm excited to see the cover as well. That comes out on September 30th. Also on September 30th, also by C.L. Clarke, they have another novel out called Fate's Bane. I believe this one is more fantasy-based. The Unbroken is also fantasy, like there's some elements of magic, and, you know, we're in an alternate continent. This is a different one, different vibes. It's about warring tribes, warring clans, so that'll be interesting. I honestly haven't even read the full description of this because I don't want any spoilers. I just know I'll like it because it's C.L. Clarke and I think they're a good writer. So I'm quite pumped about that one. Another writer I've read before, Jennifer Dugan. She has a book called Summer Girls coming out on May 13th, just in time for summer. I've read like every Jennifer Dugan book. Some of them are great, some of them are pretty good, some of them are kind of stinky. But I really admire Jennifer Dugan. She came out with like 3 or 4 books last year. She just publishes and publishes. She does YA books, she does young adult. That's what YA means. She does adult. She does graphic novels, regular novels. This is a regular novel. I believe this is the only Jennifer Dugan book announced so far for this year, which is kind of surprising. She's quite prolific and has been the last couple of years. So this is a cute YA summer romance book. Will it be good? We'll find out. I will definitely read it. Because I've read every Jennifer Dugan book. I should do a video about every Jennifer Dugan book. Maybe I'll do that after I read Summer Girls. Another lesbian author I'm sure you've heard of, Ashley Herring Blake, also on May 13th, has a book coming out called Dream On, Ramona Riley. This is about a girl whose crush went to Hollywood and became famous, and then they're like reconnecting. Again, I actually tried not to read descriptions because I don't want spoilers, but then I can't talk about the books. But Ashley Herring Blake, good writer. I've read her whole Bright Falls trilogy. I read Make the Season Bright. I read Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World. She writes adult novels and middle grade novels. This is an adult novel. So that's like a cool small town / Hollywood romance pairing. She's a good writer, Ashley Herring Blake is, so I'm sure that'll be pretty good. I have high hopes for that. And then to complete the trio of prolific lesbic authors, Alexandria Bellefleur has a book coming out October 21st, just in time for Halloween, called The Devil She Knows, and this is about a woman who makes a pact with the devil. I love this cover. Gorgeous, sort of old-timey, pulpy sort of novel cover. Very cute. I've read quite a few of Alexandria Bellefleur's books before. Some I like a little more than others, but they're all decent. I haven't read a bad book by her. I love the cover. This would be a great book to have a physical copy of. I'm gonna get it from the library before I buy a physical copy just because I'm a cheapo, but if I love it, I will be getting a physical copy of this book because it's gorgeous. So those are some of the books that I'm really looking forward to, but I do have quite a few books that are just on my radar that I've seen mentioned. I don't really know these authors. I don't know if they're good. I don't know how promising they are, but they stuck out to me. These are all sapphic books, so I'll do like a rapid fire on my radar section. Motheater by Linda H. Codega. This comes out March 12th, so soon. This is about a woman who awakens an Appalachian witch in the mountains. Some sort of fantasy gay adventures there. Sounds very cool. On June 3rd, we have Ladies' Night by Amie Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This looks neat. It's like a medieval comedy about a gay night, sapphic night, lesbian night. So I hope that's quite good. I really like comedies. I'd love to read more comedies. So I hope this is as funny as it is pitched to be. Sounds really good. Palm Meridian by Grace Flahive. Flahive. I don't know how to pronounce your name, I'm so sorry. This is about an elderly woman in a queer retirement home. Very unique premise. Unfortunately, it's also about her last day on Earth. She's been diagnosed with a terminal illness and she's having one last hurrah. So I feel like this will be very sad and probably make me cry. But I have to read this just because it's a unique premise. I don't see a lot of elderly lesbians represented in books, and I'm excited to read this one. Well, maybe not excited, but I want to read this one. Eat the Ones You Love by Sarah Maria Griffin. This comes out April 22nd. It's about some gay florists and an evil plant, apparently, who runs their shop. That sounds like shenanigans. Yeah, I'm into that. On April 1st, not a joke, Where Shadows Meet by Patrice Caldwell. This is about vampires, like a vampire princess, and spans a long period of time. So I've read. This sounds quite interesting. I really like vampire stories, and I feel like I actually don't read a lot of them. I need to read more vampire books, so I'm gonna read this one. Flirting Lessons by Jasmine Guillory comes out on April 8th. And believe it or not, this is a book about a woman who takes flirting lessons and then falls in love with her instructor. I've seen this one around a lot. Looks pretty promising. Some of these I've seen mentioned more than others. And I'm very indiscriminate. I want to read every single book about lesbians, so I'm not trying just to read all of the new Ashley Herring Blake books, you know. I will read anything that has lesbians in it. These are just things that have come on my radar through various sources of TikTok or Insta recommendations or Goodreads. I find a lot of books through Goodreads for Goodreads giveaways, which I never win, but I hear about the books and then I'll get them from the library. On June 3rd, there's Cosmic Love at the Multiverse Hair Salon. Great title, very unique title. This is about dimension-crossed lovers, like star-crossed lovers, but they're from alternate dimensions, and there's like a time difference between them, and they're like writing each other notes. Sounds cool. Love a good fantasy book. Yeah, I'll check that out for sure. Love the name. And then there's Stop Me If You've Heard This One by Kristen Arnett, which comes out on March 18th, also soon. This is about a sad clown and a MILF magician. Sure. This is on the list because that's such a unique premise. And I have another one of Kristen Arnett's books on my TBR that I haven't gotten around to yet. It's called Mostly Dead Things. But I've never read a lesbian clown book. a lesbian clown book before, so that's interesting. This cover is hideous though. This is one of the ugliest book covers I think I've ever seen. This is a graphic design catastrophe. I mean, I see the vision, but like, was that really, that was the winning concept? This is like a green screen minimalism nightmare. Feel free to disagree with me. I'm sure someone likes this cover, but this is truly something. But we don't judge a book by a cover. We do, actually, but I'll read it anyway because I will read anything with lesbians, even if the cover is a choice. Yeah, gotta be one of the ugliest covers I've maybe ever seen in my life. But it does stick out. It does stick out. I'll give it that. Maybe the book's good. If the book's good, I don't care if the cover's ugly. Although I'm not like rushing to buy a physical copy and put it on my shelf. I will say that. So yeah, those are all books that I've heard about. I've put on my TBR. I do want to read them. I think they sound either unique or they fit the niche that I'm interested in. But not tried and tested. I have never read any of these authors before. I don't know if they're good. I don't know if these books will be good. But I want to check them out and see if they're good. I'll also do some honorable mentions. We Could Be Rats by Emily Austin, which came out in January. So it's already out, so it's not really an upcoming release that I'm looking forward to. But it was one of my more anticipated releases of 2025. I've read it. I liked it. It's not my favorite Emily Austin book, but I really like Emily Austin's writing. And I recommend her other books as well. I do have a review for We Could Be Rats. Either coming or published, I don't know. I haven't published it yet, but I have recorded that video, so you can check that out on my channel. Subscribe for more, and like the video if you want to see more book reviews. Another book that came out in January is Hamajang Luck by Makana Yamamoto. I haven't read this yet. It's on my TBR. I'm next in line at my library. I will be reading this book soon. It sounds very cool about a prisoner who gets let out and is on one last heist again. One of the comp titles for this was Gideon the Ninth, and I love Gideon the Ninth, so if this captures even a fraction of that magic, I will be very much there for it. This book puts the mostly in mostly sapphic books. We also have You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White, which comes out on September 9th. This is not sapphic. This is a trans man, autistic trans man horror. I really love Andrew Joseph White. I think he is a very talented writer. He has a very identifiable style. He writes a lot of horror. He writes horror YA, mostly about trans boys, gay trans boys usually. Gay autistic trans boys usually. Two of his other books, The Spirit Bears Its Teeth and Hell Followed With Us, both have lesbian side characters, but that's not the point. This is his first adult novel, and his YA novels are quite intense. Really lean into the horror. Very well done, very atmospheric, very good at creating a vibe. And so I imagine his first adult horror will be very, very intense. But I'm here for it. It is about a trans man who gets impregnated with like an alien worm and has an alien worm baby against his will. It sounds quite dark and intense, but I love his writing, so I will. That's one of my most anticipated books of the year for sure. One of my favorite authors right now, Andrew Joseph White. And then the ultimate honorable mention. The most anticipated book for this year, for any year, whenever it finally gets published. Alecto the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. Not confirmed for this year, which is why it's in the honorable mention category. If this had a release date for this year, number one, baby. I absolutely loved the Luck Tomb series. It got me into reading. I read Gideon the Ninth a couple years ago, and I have not stopped reading since. It has reinvigorated my love for reading. It's so good. It's such a good sci-fi series. The characters are so complex and so deep, and the writing is so good. This is the fourth and final book in the series. If you haven't read the series, you need to read this series. Gideon the Ninth, Harrow the Ninth, and Nona the Ninth. Just incredible books, and they're meant to be reread, and you can reread them so many times, and you'll find all these new details, and the world building is so good and so thoroughly plotted out, and just so complex and just so fun and rich and well done and beautiful and entertaining and incredible. These books live rent-free in my head. Tamsin, please release Electo the Ninth this year, but also please take your time. Release it in 2030 if you need to. It will be worth the wait. It's an incredible book series. Yeah, now's the time to get into it before the final book releases, and then you can be like the rest of us and like and plot and scheme and wonder what's going to happen in this book and analyze all the characters and look for the Easter eggs and the hints. There's a very good fandom around these books, and it's quite fun. It's quite good. But since it's not confirmed to be released this year, I can't put it in my top 3 most anticipated books. But moving on to my top 3 most anticipated reads. On my birthday, June 10th, V.E. Schwab is releasing a sapphic vampire book called Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I've actually never read V.E. Schwab. I'm aware that they're a very popular author, well-regarded author. I believe it's a woman. I believe she did one of the quotes for Harrow the Ninth. It's like, this book is good. So I've definitely heard of V.E. Schwab. I've had a couple of her books on my radar before, but I don't think she primarily writes sapphic books. This might be like her first sapphic book. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I know V.E. Schwab is a talented, allegedly talented author. This will be my first foray into V.E. Schwab. As a birthday gift to me, this book better be good, because I am definitely looking forward to sapphic vampires. My number 2 is Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. I've read several Caitlin Starling books. She is a sci-fi horror writer. This one feels a bit more fantasy-like we're in like a medieval castle that's being sacked and is about to fall, and everyone is just on their last legs of debauchery in this castle in their last days of life. And apparently there are these sort of godly saints who are indulging everyone's madness and hedonism. It's very bacchanalian. This sounds very gay. I've heard there's like a throuple. There's like 3 women are the central core of the story, and they're all like from different class levels, and they all have different roles in the story, but they're all into each other, so we've got like a throuple going on into it. Really like Caitlin Starling. She's a very good atmospheric writer. A lot of her books are sort of slow, but like in a good way where you really get to savor it. I'm going to read all of her books this year. I have not yet read The Luminous Dead or, what is it, The Death of Jane something. I've really liked everything I've read by her so far, and this just sounds really fun and wild and wacky and crazy and twisted and just dark and fun. And I quite expect to enjoy it. This sounds like the gayest of her books. All of her books that I've read have been gay, but the romance is very much like a subplot to the action. So I'm expecting this one to be like a little bit more overtly sexual, if not romantic. I don't know how romantic it is. Perhaps it is. I'm expecting the relationships between these characters to be a bit more prominent than maybe in her other books. So I'm quite into that. And my number 1 book, my most anticipated book of 2025, is the 3rd volume of a graphic novel series that I absolutely fucking love. Grand Slam Romance, Volume 3, Farewell to Babes, by Ollie Hicks and Emma Oosterhouse. This comes out on May 13th. I've already pre-ordered it. I'm pumped. This series is so fucking funny. It is hilarious. It is so queer. It's about magical girls playing softball. Everyone's gay. Everyone's fucking each other. It's absolutely just fucking ridiculous. They live in just this crazy fun world where they don't care about anything but gayness and softball. Everyone's gay. ever, or trans, or queer, or whatever. It is just so carefree and fun. It is queer joy, it is sapphic joy, it is trans joy, fully embodied. It is wild and sexy and funny and just carefree. Just the most fun. You can tell how much fun these authors are having writing the story. And the characters are so great. The drawings are so nice. It's so vibrant and colorful. I absolutely love Grand Slam romance, and it's so under the radar. It's not underrated, it's highly rated. If you've read it, people who read these books love them. The queer community would love this, and I don't understand why it's not like way more popular than it is. The only thing I can think is that since it's a graphic novel, not many people read graphic novels, but these graphic novels are so worth your time, and they're full volumes. They're not really short. They're like 250 pages each, give or take. It's so well done, and it's so thoroughly executed, and there's so much love poured into it. There's so many details in like the background and the frame. I have read these books, the first two books. I own physical copies. I don't own physical copies of a lot of books. As you can tell, I read a lot from the library. But these I read, and I had to get physical copies, and I had to reread them. They are just so fun, and I'm so sad the series is ending, but I'm also very happy to have a full story. There's also a throuple in this, kind of spoilers, but like, it doesn't matter. I haven't read the description for this. I don't want any spoilers. There's even like sample pages to give you an idea of, you know, what the story's about, but I haven't looked at those. I don't want any spoilers. I just love this series, and I'm so excited. This is the only book for this year that I've pre-ordered, so that's how you know it is my most anticipated. I've got some of these books on hold at the library. I definitely plan to read most of them, if not all of them, if I can. But Grand Slam romance, man. It knocks it out of the park. It's just incredible. Just gay. Just so funny. So fun. I cannot recommend Grand Slam romance enough. If you read any of the books on this list, please read Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, but also read Grand Slam romance by Ollie Hicks and Emma Oosterhouse. They're a married couple, queer wife duo. One of them is non-binary. Just fun. Gay fun. I love this. I'm very excited. May is gonna be good. May is a good month. A lot of fun books coming out this year. Pretty excited. And this isn't all of the books on my radar. I have a lot of books on my TBR. I do have a Goodreads. I'll put a link to that in the description if you want to look at my to-read list, which is too many books. But there's some good books coming out this year. But yeah, that's my list. Those are my most anticipated. Tell me what books are your most anticipated. Let me know what I'm missing. I'd love to hear more book recs. I read quite a lot, so I put a lot of books on my TBR, and I generally do get around to them. Let me know if I've forgotten anything. Let me know if you've read some of these books and they suck. Some of you may have arcs for this book, or some of you may get around to reading them when they're released before I get around to reading them. And some of them are coming out very soon, so by the time this video comes out, they might actually be out. So let me know. Like, give me the tea. Also, like and subscribe if you want. I mostly do book reviews. That's what I plan to do with this channel. But I will do some videos like this. I may do wrap-ups. I may do tier rankings. You know, general booktube stuff. But normally I do in-depth reviews. But I do definitely like looking at what's ahead. And not just what I've read, but what I get to read next. That's very fun for me. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Please. If you want more queer book recs. I have a lot of them. I read a lot of... I don't just read the big titles. I read literally every book about lesbians. If it has lesbians in it, I will read it. So I will read small books. I will read books you probably haven't heard of, or at least not heard much about. I'll tell you if they're good. I'll read old books. I'll read new books. I don't just read new releases. I will read anything. So if you want more book recs, check out my channel, and you'll probably see something that you haven't read before. It might not be good. But I'll tell you if they're good. I'll tell you the hidden gems, like Grandson Romance. Read Grandson Romance. That's it.